Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to discuss the astrological energies from September 24th until October 1st, as we are now officially in Libra season and we are moving forward, ready or not, with some very dynamic, transformative changes after that Virgo solar eclipse. Now, in today's show, we're going to discuss what is in motion and what is important to stay aware of during this next week. But I do want to mention here that because that Virgo solar eclipse was a new moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, we don't have our next new moon until October 21st. That will be at 28 degrees of Libra. So that means that all of Libra season essentially is about this Virgo solar eclipse. This eclipse cycle is going to be very poignant and pivotal throughout Libra season, bringing up big choices, conversations, communications, new parts of ourselves that we're meant to really own and see with a powerful truthfulness. And then we have a reset and a new beginning that is more balanced at the Libra new moon. So keep in mind that yes, we are in eclipse energies here until the new moon. And it's going to be bringing up what is ready to evolve for you in the Libra areas of your chart. So even though the eclipse was at 29 degrees of Virgo, that was making it evident and clear to you what needs to change, what patterns need to evolve, what parts of yourself are no longer effective and operational. So this is a push into growth that is being developed further in the Libra areas of your chart, and more specifically, your own relationship dynamics and patterns. With the sun now in Libra, the sun is making some powerful aspects to outer planets that signify we are on a grand transformational journey now. We're in new territory. We haven't been here before, individually or collectively. This is the first time that the sun in Libra is opposing Neptune in Aries, trining Uranus in Gemini, and trining Pluto in Aquarius. Right there, the sun is making direct aspects to all three outer planets, which is about long-term generational changes, deep questioning and reprogramming around how you share energy, communicate, engage in conversation, interact, discuss, contemplate choices, and determine what is best for you. And it's happening through the mirrors and projections of others, as well as perhaps looking at yourself in the mirror, which is something that the Libra energy is guided to do. It's to see yourself more clearly in order to understand how you show up and connect with the world. Libra is one-on-one energy. And with these aspects, we are being pushed to ascend in our relational dynamics. And because, again, it's brand new territory that we've never experienced in this life, there are some big changes unfolding now that will continue over the next number of years. So even though this sun in Libra is interacting with all three outer planets here in late September 2025, this aspect is going to continue to be reactivated for the rest of the decade, because every time the sun enters Libra, and in fact every time the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars each enter Libra, they're going to be making these exact same aspects to Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, and Pluto in Aquarius, signaling that there's some very big shifts happening that are right on time for our ascension and our evolution. And it's coming through the people we know and interact with. It's coming through our partnerships, our one-on-one conversations. It's coming through the other that is affecting us, the core of who you are. And not only is this energy big right now because of the Air Grand Trine that's unfolding, but the sun in Libra is also going to be conjunct the Super Galactic Center. And that's going to happen at 2 degrees of Libra on September 25th. And the Super Galactic Center is different than the Galactic Center. Now, the Galactic Center is in the late degrees of Sagittarius, 27 degrees of Sag, and that is connected to all the energies in our galaxy that are always spinning towards the galactic center, and it infuses our belief systems. What we believe, what we subscribe to, our perceptions that form our philosophies and our ideologies. The galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius is a powerful spiraling energy that encourages us to keep evolving in what we believe, to not be stuck in one philosophy or one perspective, and to allow ourselves to keep growing through those belief systems. This is different than the Super Galactic Center at 2 degrees of Libra. The Super Galactic Center consists of over 50 galaxies, including the Andromeda Galaxy, and the size is so big that it's even considered immeasurable to our human consciousness. Now, this Super Galactic Center at 2 degrees of Libra brings up how we engage in relationships, dynamics, and connections outside of ourselves, seeking more from another than they can truly offer or deliver. The Libra energy here is at an extreme point at 2 degrees of Libra because the intensity of the Super Galactic Center is one that's never fully content or satisfied. This is where there are more extremes in connections and relationships, because there can be too much of a focus on the other. The Super Galactic Center can take you into more extreme energies of obsession, addiction, codependency, trauma bonding even, because you're seeking more of yourself from another, but the energy has an intense hunger for connection outside of self. So the Super Galactic Center at its highest and brightest is where we seek deep connection, where we want to be deeply understood and connected to another, where we want that soulmate experience. But it can also bring up very painful disconnections, breakups, rejections, endings, parts of ourselves that didn't feel satisfied in connection, so we seek more. We seek more, and it's almost as if it's never enough. There's an insatiable appetite with the Super Galactic Center. And since it's at 2 degrees of Libra, this is also an astrology point that's receiving a trine from that Pluto in Aquarius. It will also be trined exactly next year by Uranus in Gemini, and eventually Sedna in Gemini will also be working with the Super Galactic Center. Now, at a deeper cosmic level, the Super Galactic Center is also where there can be more walk-ins that arrive through wormholes, time travel, astral travel. This is where the cosmic energies can deeply intertwine and bring about heightened near-death experiences, soul energy exchanges, and significant changes in personal consciousness. So as we look at all of these big energies that are occurring in the early degrees of the air signs, with the Sun in Libra conjunct the Super Galactic Center, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, Uranus retrograde in Gemini, and even Sedna retrograde in Gemini, all of these planets and points are working together to create a very big Air Grand Trine that is heavily focused on communication, ideas, relationships, connections. And how I'm seeing this is that brand new soul groups are forming. There are changes in our soul growth trajectories. New relationships, partnerships, and interactions are coming forth now because of the higher frequencies arriving. And you could also be sensing it in your dream state and your meditation state, whatever it is for you, that you're receiving new guidance from new guides, energy beings, angels, archangels, councils, and teams of support that are off planet. There is an opening here for us to elevate our consciousness in this cycle beyond what we've known. You could feel it as a grand timeline shift in your world that you can't fully explain. I'm getting the visual of feeling like you're levitating, that your feet aren't fully on the ground anymore, that maybe you're even merging your energy more fully with some of these more evolved beings. And as I mentioned, this is going to be an ongoing energy throughout the rest of this decade. And that's what's coming in at this time. That's what is deeply infusing the planet. And one of the powerful shifts of this Virgo solar eclipse is that we are not only elevating our consciousness with this ongoing Air Grand Trine, with all these cosmic points, but we're also seeing the power of our own energetic connections in new ways. So let me bring this down to earth a little bit more. The sun in Libra is bringing about how we share energies and communicate. It's about our choice points and what we decide to do, often from a balanced, rational, logical perspective. Libra prefers to weigh both sides, collect as much information as possible, and then wants to make a just and fair decision. Now, with all these bigger cosmic energies influencing the beginning of Libra season, there is more cosmic justice coming in. There is more positive karmic developments as well. And that's how I'm interpreting this Air Grand Trine, is that what you have worked lifetimes for may be showing up now through inspired ideas, partnerships, communications, all these Libra themes that I've already mentioned. This is positive karma moving you forward. And it's not only the positive karma on this planet, I'm seeing it as positive galactic influences that are coming through and supporting you in what you need to do next, where you are moving forward, that's maybe pulling you away from something that you thought you would always stay with or be involved in. This is where I'm seeing the shifts occur as well in soul groups. And how it's being presented to me visually is similar to the beginning of a new school year. And I realize this could be very American centric here, but in a new school year, you might have 2, 3, or 4 different 5th grade classrooms, and you move into a new classroom with a new teacher often every year, and sometimes your friends are there and sometimes they're not. And I'm seeing it as we're moving into these new classrooms with some people we know, but a lot of people we don't know or we haven't met yet. And we are leaving behind old classrooms of experiences, moving into these new environments with new specialty focuses. And that's something I'm hearing very specifically, is that these new soul groups that are coming together have a niche focus. They are more advanced overall, and they've done a lot of the foundational work, a lot of the baseline work. And now there are more specific topics and subjects to focus on that will propel humanity forward. And these specialty areas for these soul groups may not be public or out there on a big platform. Rather, they're working purposefully in very specific environments that are ready for this level of expertise. And you might not have physical changes happening around you, meaning you might be going about your life and you're realizing, I'm not really meeting that many new people, or I'm not feeling that I have people coming in or even leaving my experience. But what's happening is that you could be getting these downloads around the knowledge base that is perfect for you. And then that's what you're meant to be embodying and sharing through everyday conversations and interactions with people in your environment. And that's how you are now a part of a new soul group, even if you're not physically meeting them or in their same vicinity. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But basically, if you're feeling called to discuss things in a new way, or to learn and study something differently or from a different angle, or if you're finding yourself in conversations with people that lead you into these new topics, that's exactly what this shift is about right now. And it's starting here in Libra season. And again, it's going to play out through the rest of this decade. And as I've gone into this, I can feel that there's more depth to this topic. So I'll be doing a separate podcast episode on this and giving you more examples, because I do want to stay focused on this week's astrology. But this is a big part of the overarching energy changes that are coming through. And so it's important to mention it in today's show, with the sun in Libra activating these themes and also being conjunct that Super Galactic Center at 2 degrees of Libra. If you have planets or points in the early degrees of the air signs, 0 to 3 degrees of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, then this is a big part of your next stage soul mission. There are things coming through that you're meant to understand right now. Messages, communications, ideas, conversations are meant to be louder. They're meant to be getting your attention right now. And that leads us to the next big aspect of this week, which is that you could also feel really uncomfortable around a truth you're meant to realize, work through, and understand. And that's because this week, Mars in Scorpio squares Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 1 degree 27 minutes. This is happening on September 24th exactly, but the influence unfolds for most of this week. And that's because it's such a powerful dynamic energy. And with this aspect, I'm noticing that Super Typhoon Ragasa is hitting Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, and it is equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. A super typhoon is, of course, angry water, Mars in Scorpio, violent, aggressive, destructive. It's affecting millions of people. Over 2 million have been evacuated so far, and it's too early to know how many have died. It's also moving through highly populated areas, and this would be the Pluto in Aquarius impact. It's also moving through one of China's biggest technology hubs and financial capitals, Shenzhen, which is the third most populated city in China. This is unfortunately Mars in Scorpio squaring Pluto in Aquarius destruction that is catastrophic. And these energies are about permanent change. With Mars in Scorpio and Pluto in Aquarius, there are changes that are unfolding beyond what can be repaired and certainly can't be returned to what it previously was. Now, astrologically, one of the reasons why I think this square is so fascinating is that it is a closing square. After the oppositions we had 3 times, starting last November, then again in January and in April of this year, we had those 3 oppositions between Mars and Pluto that were also very intense, divisive, created a lot of polarity, fighting, disagreements. And here we have a closing square that is about what needs to be acknowledged and truthfully seen now that is really uncomfortable. There's a lot of discomfort in this square, and it's pushing you into a truth that you haven't wanted to acknowledge, or something that you haven't wanted to perhaps seen front and center. There can be a purging with this square. And because of the intensity, it is heightened on Wednesday, September 24th, but it will last a few days after, as Mars and Scorpio will slowly move on and not have that tight pressure to Pluto. But this is a purging square. And know that as a closing square, there are some final things that need to come up to your awareness and to your consciousness that are rooted in a deep fear. And that's actually what both this Mars in Scorpio and Pluto in Aquarius have in common, is digging into something you haven't wanted to look at or face because there's been a fear around it. And that fear has been part of the background operating system. But here comes this intense truth that's ultimately meant to set you free. But it's not an easy freedom. It's a realization of where you've been held captive or felt hostage to something. And it certainly relates to the bigger energies of right now that are requiring us to ascend, to be better versions of ourselves. And in order to do so, there's things we have to acknowledge and face. And the universe is saying it's right here. It's right here front and center. Now keep in mind, this can also involve being a truth teller. This can involve being very clear, honest, and direct in what is real and what is not. Especially since that Mars in Scorpio will take a clean slice of something, dig in deep, and bring about what has been hidden, covered up, manipulated, or withheld. This can be a push to set something free by being that truth teller and not allowing lies or pathological liars to run the show. For example, I just had someone asking me all these bizarre questions about things that have never happened in my life. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not my story. I don't have those experiences. I don't have that kind of trauma. None of this has ever happened to me. Where are you getting this information from? And so this is the time to set the record straight if needed. And maybe you're forced to do that. This is a purging that allows the truth to rise. And I'm seeing a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm seeing the phoenix being set free because of the intensity that it has had to experience, right? The deep evolution of that beautiful phoenix that becomes stronger, wiser, and more powerful because of what you've been through. This is a week to acknowledge how much have you powerfully grown, transformed, and strengthened since last November. Because last November is when we had that first Mars-Pluto opposition, and then following that were those 2 additional oppositions. And now we're at the closing square. That is what needs to be completed in this cycle. What needs to be purged out that's requiring next level growth. It's uncomfortable, intense, emotional, but there's also a driving passion here to be in your power and to stand stronger than ever. Where are you feeling that in your life? Allow these energies to push you forward, because it's also related to these new soul groups forming and these new frequencies coming onto the planet that you're going to have access to because of what you have purged and transformed. These energies are leading you to new levels of victory, celebration, and advancement. They also can be leading you to new levels of abundance, success, joy, love, happiness. Yes, it's true when you put this into a bigger framework of why certain things have unfolded or why you've had to be so conscious around your own transformation. For many of you, this current cycle is a starting point to your next level life beginning. There's new beginning points happening here. You have completed certain parts of your soul's curriculum in this cycle. You're moving up, you're moving on. That's why we're going into new classrooms with new teachers, new peers, new specialty areas. And you might be surprised at what falls away quickly. And I'm seeing the energy fall away in the aura, almost like when magnets just collapse. There's nothing else that the magnets are connected to. They just fall and they're no longer interacting with the old curriculum. So throughout Libra season, you might find that things just fall off, fall away, they complete. And so with the sun in Libra, we do have to acknowledge the ruling planet Venus. Think of the sun in Libra as the chef, and Venus in Virgo is the sous chef until she changes signs and enters Libra October 13th. So with Venus in Virgo, for most of Libra season, she brings about a more discerning, particular perspective to what you are choosing, what is calling to you, and also what you want. Last night I had dinner with a friend of mine and she has Sun in Libra and Venus in Virgo. So I was really paying attention to her perspective on all these things we were talking about because her Venus in Virgo was very loud and clear. She likes things a certain way. She has very clear standards as well as very honest expectations. She's currently been getting settled in their new house. So they have all this furniture being delivered, things being built and set up. And what I love about her is that she's not a people pleaser. She's like, if it arrives broken, I'm sending it back. This is not good enough. Why can't you stick to your commitments around delivery times? Why can't you get this right the first time? Why are you not able to follow through on what you say you're going to do? So these were the themes of our conversation last night, which is very Venus and Virgo. You're looking for things to work in a certain way. You're expecting that people will honor their commitments, show up and take care of what they need to take care of. And that's because this Venus holds herself to those standards. She is very intentional with her words, her schedule, her body, her mind. She's very clear in what she needs to take care of, especially out of a sense of duty and responsibility. And so you might be seeing who you can rely on, who is honest and true with their word. You may have an urge to cut back on spending with Venus and Virgo. She subscribes to a less is more philosophy. There is more minimalism and simplicity with Venus and Virgo. So maybe that's what's coming up, is you're seeing more of what you don't need. What has been excessive and outdated? What has been overwhelming and tiring? And so Venus and Virgo will put together a new plan and say, okay, let's approach it this way. Let's not waste time on things that aren't working anymore. And we're not going to worry so much about whose feelings it might hurt or how it might not make others happy. This energy combination has a sense of everyone can figure out their own stuff right now. I'm not going to take it on. I'm not going to carry your weight or figure out your plans. Everyone needs to do their own work. Getting back to that keyword of curriculum, everyone needs to do their own work right now, whatever that means in your world. And you don't have to take it on. You don't have to overly serve or overly carry other people's energies or responsibilities. And that Libra energy can do that from a good place, because Libra is the helper. Let me help you out. Let me support you with this. I'm happy to contribute and do what I can. But you might feel a retraction in those typical offerings with this Venus and Virgo. And you might sense like, I don't want to. I'm not able to. I got enough in front of me. And it's important to note that this isn't selfish. This isn't you being rude or not doing what you could do for others. Rather, this can support being in service to yourself first, filling up your own cup responsibly, and then allowing others to do the same. This is how we can see what's out of balance. Who is expecting too much from you? Who is needing too much from you? Where it's stretching you thin, it's pulling you like Play-Doh. It feels draining and heavy. This is a time to acknowledge what you can and can't do. And that could shift relationships in unexpected ways. But it's showing you what's out of balance. And that is one of the driving intentions of Libra. Libra wants to bring things back into balance. But you've got to acknowledge what is out of balance and why. Why is this out of balance? Now, Mercury is in Libra. And Mercury is continuing through this air sign until October 6th. Mercury in Libra is also ruled by this Venus in Virgo, which influences what you talk about, what you say, what you offer, and how you're perceiving your choices. Mercury in Libra is social, a great listener, a great communicator, can see things from two vantage points, and genuinely likes talking with people. I think of Mercury in Libra as the customer service sign that wants to assist and solve problems. But you might find that there is more of a hesitation in this energy signature, that there's more you are holding back and not being forthright about sharing. This could also be a desire to keep your head down and keep working more instead of socializing, even if things are coming through on your calendar or pinging you on your phone. With both the Sun and Mercury in Libra influenced by Venus and Virgo at this time, we have a desire to be productive, focused, get things done, move the needle ahead, and tend to the new curriculum that's presenting itself. It feels like this is a time of greater discernment, especially after eclipse season has brought up many things for us to consider, contemplate, sit with, and understand. And there is time for that now, because after September 25th, there are no major transiting aspects between the planets until October 1st. So that means the last week of September is astrologically quiet. And boy, could we use it right about now after these big eclipse energies and intense aspects that we've had. There again, there's no major aspects occurring between the planets until October 1st. So yes, September 24th is when that Mars square Pluto is exact. Then September 25th, the Sun is conjunct the Super Galactic Center. And after that, it's just the moon moving through Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn until the beginning of October. You could feel that there's some big choices on your mind right now, but they're not meant to be made only from a mental, logical space. There are surging frequencies coming through from your intuition, your emotional body, and your higher self. And these are the energies that you could feel are deeply influencing you, almost like they're keeping you up at night because you're supposed to do something with this. You're supposed to make a choice or create something. What do I do with all this energy? What do I do with all of this information that isn't letting me settle? You could feel highly restless and unsettled with these energy frequencies. And that is the universe pushing you forward out of a comfort zone, requiring you to look truthfully at your own fears and limitations and showing you very little in terms of a guarantee. And I think that's where more fear gets triggered, just at a primal level of our being, right? Because we want safety and security. We want to know how things are going to play out. We want to know, what is someone going to say? What are they going to choose? And with this energy in Libra, there's a focus on the other person, the other partner, the other choice, whatever the other is for you at this time, that's coming up front and center. You can't relax. You can't let it go. That's the other thing with this energy. The universe keeps bringing it right back around in front of your face. And it's interesting because I'm seeing this as such a conundrum. It feels like one of those unending escape room puzzles. Have you ever done an escape room where you have to solve the mystery, find the clues, solve the puzzles, and each thing leads to the next thing, but you have very little to go on the whole time? I think I've done 2 escape rooms. And it does depend on the quality of people you're with. You want to bring the smart people. And it's like when you get really stuck, you can phone the front desk and ask for a clue. So you phone a friend, and in this situation, maybe it's literally a friend or it's a spirit guide or an angel giving you a clue, but it still feels very unresolved. And the conundrum is that it's complex but simple. So do we make it more complex for ourselves? And do we miss the obvious? Or do we keep it too simple and we miss the deeper layers? Of course, this is all very Mars and Scorpio too. Solving the mystery, trusting your intuition to navigate through all the steps. But this is probably the best way to summarize right now. What are you trying to escape from? Because the universe is supporting you, is guiding you through this conundrum that could be simple, but we make it complicated or complex because our egos or our minds want things a certain way. But that's not how the energies work in the higher realms. And now that we're in this new landscape of energies, you've got to trust your intuition and your heart more. There's more of an integration of your own divine feminine wisdom. But honestly, there could just be too much overthinking right now. And that's another part of these strong air signs, is thinking through every option, scenario, possibility, thinking 5 steps ahead based on assumptions, lack of information, lack of conversation. And all of that can drive you further away from your own answers and your own intuitive guidance within. There could also be a lot of distractions that you're looking to filter out and minimize. So don't allow the distractions from the old world affect the new beginnings and new starts that are meant to take off at this time. So it's quite the powerhouse surge of change. And it feels really exciting. Honestly, it feels like there have been beautiful changes unfolding that finally come forward, that are truly felt, embraced, and seen. It feels too like we're not meant to fully understand all the changes and shifts. They're just too cosmic in nature. But hopefully this is validating at some level of your being that you are right on time. And of course, always connected to the cosmos as this serious life transformation continues to pick up. Libra season is going to be big, and remember, it will continue to be big over the next number of years. So this is an area of your chart to be very conscious of and very aware of. In fact, this energy is a part of the minor Grand Trine that just started in August of this year. And that minor Grand Trine, which involves the 3 outer planets all in a harmonious configuration that unfolds until 2029. It's really important to know how these energies are showing up in your chart, as well as their interactions with any personal planets in your chart. So for more on that, please check out my program called Manifesting with the Minor Grand Trine, because those energies are heightened right now. They're active right now in your chart, and they are helping you powerfully access the highest timeline that you can experience, which is so much of this eclipse season energy. So I'll put the link to the Minor Grand Trine program below the podcast here. It's a big program with over 20 videos, and I'll be adding more topics every year. So you buy it once, and then you're going to come back and check out things and track the changes as they unfold into 2029. And it's still at its launch pricing of only $88. That will go up, but it's designed to bring you into the information and get started on what is going to be happening for you from now into 2029. And then I also wanted to share with you another opportunity to work with this Air Grand Trine energy, and that's through a masterclass that focuses on writing a memoir. This masterclass is being offered by my senior editor, Hillary Smith, who is excellent and a brilliant writer herself. And she is teaching you how to take your story and put it into a healing journey for others. There's things you have to cut out and refine. There's parts of the story that you have to evolve and deepen. And Hillary is going to take you through that process in this masterclass that will begin in October. It's for 4 weeks, starting October 7th, and you will gain access to her extensive experience as an editor, writer, and guide for others. I'll put the link below the podcast too if you are interested in writing a memoir, shaping the story, discovering more about what matters and what doesn't. There's a lot that's covered in this program. So if that is of interest, I hope you will check it out, and I hope that you'll connect with Hillary. Otherwise, wishing you a beautiful journey through Libra season as it begins to unfold in such powerful and significant ways. We are certainly in new territory. We haven't been here before, and it feels very high vibrational and exciting. So I hope you're feeling that too. I look forward to connecting with you again for our next podcast episode, as I release those every Monday and Wednesday. Plus, I'll have videos coming for you this weekend on my YouTube channel, so you can always find more information there. You can also check out all of my current offerings over at mollymccord.online, where I have over 20 online courses and 12 books available that I hope support whatever you may be moving through now. Take good care, and I'll see you back here very soon.